going out onto the combat field.
And it's so vital for a fighter. It's the first opportunity that you have to meet this crowd and for them to meet you. You want to come out, you want to recognize a few familiar faces. It is a great feeling to walk from that dressing room into the ring, the crowd on you. Every eyeball in this arena is right now focused on Glen Johnson. Right now, Glen is running through his mind what his fight plan is going to be and how he is going to get a knockout in this fight tonight.
Detected some bitterness when we talked to Glen about the number of majority and split decisions that have gone against him in bouts that he feels that he truly won, such as his majority draw that he just had with Daniel Judah.
Well, and taking a look at his record too, he has 9 losses. He said that's been 9 split decisions, and he has 1 draw that in his last fight with Judah. He says, in these fights, I'm winning 7 out of 10 rounds. Now, what happens a lot of times to fighters is they lose a round, but think that they're winning the round, and that certainly could have an effect. And tonight, I think it will be important for him to make a statement and for him to get a victory, and he wants a KO.
Now he is waiting for Eric Harding to get into the ring.
Oh, yeah.
What about the waiting procedure? Does that really serve
strategy
to your disadvantage?
That depends on who you are. If you're Glen Johnson, yes, it serves to your disadvantage. You're underneath the lights, you're in the spotlight, everybody's looking at you. Eric Harding is back in the back, he's warming up back there. He's going to make Johnson wait out here in front of the crowd, utilize some of the energy. The lights from the television cameras also take some of the steam out of you, and that's what Eric Harding wants to happen to Glen Johnson.
We mentioned
Eric Harding now making his way in.
We mentioned the fact that Eric Harding has fought for the world title against Roy Jones. Glen Johnson also fought for a world title on 2 occasions. The first one against Bernard Hopkins, though, was really taken to school in that one.
Oh, yeah, and he knows it. Bernard Hopkins, an outstanding fighter, and in that fight, Johnson even said, hey, I learned a great deal in the fight. I know I got beat, but I learned a great deal. When Eric Harding went up against Roy Jones Jr., he made a little bit of a fight of it. He won some rounds. He was in there competitively. He tried back and forth. It was a magic night for Eric Harding.
There is Eric Harding, getting a big welcome here from the fans at Jimmy's Bronx Cafe.
And a lot of his handlers in the mix of that, but they are quite vociferous.
He's a quality fighter. Eric's a quality fighter, no question about it, has wins over Montel Griffin and Antonio Tarver.
Well, both of these light heavyweights are, and they're both trying to get back to the top.
Let's take a look at the numbers now and how these two stack up against each other numerically. The tail of the tape brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Just for Men, more than a hair color, it's the Rejuvenator. You take a look at Johnson, now 34 years old, and a 4-inch disadvantage in the tail of the tape. Everything else just about even, but Harding will try to use that height advantage and the slight reach advantage that he has to make it an easier fight for him here tonight. So we are just about ready for the battle for the USBA Championship. Eric Harding, Glen Johnson, up to the ring now for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, Goose and Tudor Boxing, in association with Final Forum Inc., is proud to present to you the main event of the evening. 12 rounds for the USBA Light Heavyweight Championship. Your judges appointed at ringside scoring this bout will be Melvina Lathan, George DeGabriel, Tom Kazmarek, and your referee and man in charge when the bell rings will be Arthur McCanty Jr. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to separate the men from the boys. Are you ready to box on Fox? Introducing to you first, fighting out of the red corner, weighing in at 173.5 pounds with a record of 38 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw, with 27 of those wins coming by big-time knockout. He's ranked number 9 with the USBA from Miami, Florida, Glen Johnson. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, weighing in at 174.5 pounds, with a record of 21 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 7 of those wins coming by way of knockout. He is ranked 7th on the IBF, 8th with the WBC, number 9 on the WBO. He is from the mean streets of Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen, Eric Harding.
Good evening, gentlemen. You both received the rules earlier the night by the New York State Athletic Commission. Let's have a nice, clean fight. Touch gloves. Good luck to the both of you.
All right, let's take a look at the ABC rules. And there is no 3 knockdown rule in this fight as there was earlier tonight, but for this title bout there will not be. No standing 8 count. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. If we go to the foul rule, it will be going to the scorecards after the 4th round. Prior to that, it would be ruled a no contest. Eric Harding, white trunks, Glen Johnson in the black. And Johnson from Jamaica originally, and Eric Harding from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Harding the southpaw, Johnson coming forward. He wants to pressure Eric Harding here tonight.
Pressure is the name of the game for him, but that's the way he fights. He says his style is more of a boxer-puncher, but I can tell you from watching him in his career, he likes a lot of pressure. His best punch, he says the left hook, is a great Philadelphia weapon. Everybody uses that. Eric Harding, of course, from Philadelphia, he knows how to survive those left hook punches.
By the way, if you're wondering, when you see Eric Harding, and you may have already noticed the tattoos on the back, that is not some commercial advertisement. Harding, legs spread wide.
He says, I'm versatile.
Just he can be a real pesky kind of opponent because he's always flicking out that right jab in your face. Not necessarily with bad intentions, but a lot of times just as kind of a range fight.
That's a vexing punch. He punch also from southpaws come at you at different angles. All of a sudden you get him with a right jab, left cross, right hook, as opposed to a left jab, right cross, left hook. There's a good combination, and Harding will do that all night. He'll pick him and then he'll move. Also against southpaw fighters, Johnson should be moving to his left or around behind that southpaw stance. Cut the ring and then throw the combinations.
Arthur McCanny, 3rd man in the ring. Arthur McCanny Jr., son of the great referee Arthur McCanny Sr., who refereed so many of the big fights in boxing history, including Frazier Ali, the fight of the century in 1971, Patterson and Johansson in 1960. And referee Arthur McCanny Jr. has also had his share of big bouts, including the unification bout between Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis just down the road at Madison Square Garden when they fought in their famous fight a few years ago.
Terrific referee, carrying on his father's name. You know, his father wrote a terrific book, too, to help young referees, those who aspire to be the 3rd man in the ring. Eric is called the Magic Man. There he is on the right of your screen. Harding says, I'm a magic man because opponents stand in front of me and I make them disappear. Only 7 KOs in his 21 wins. Not known as a knockout artist. Johnson, 27 KOs in his 38 victories.
You mentioned that Johnson fought Bernard Hopkins, but also fought the current super middleweight champion Sven Otke, and that was a much closer fight when he fought for that title, losing a decision as the bell brings us to the end of round number 1. We see Glen Johnson going back to his corner, and let's get Sean's scouting reports on both these fighters.
And for Glen Johnson, he is always well-conditioned, a consummate professional, tough and durable, always strong. He's had 2 world title shots. Sven Otake you talked about, and then Bernard Hopkins, a fight where he says he learned a great deal, and he brings that kind of experience into this fight with him. Facing Eric Harding, who is a left-hander, good skills and mobility. He lacks power, as we just talked about. Good counter-puncher. He is a solid fighter, fight at close range. Some years back, hit by a bullet in the streets of Philadelphia at 22. He has overcome that, and he doesn't cry. He is a tough young man. Eric Harding.
But has been in a great mood this week, very relaxed, affable, in good humor. He's looking forward to this bout this evening.
Always a big smile on his face, even if he has a set of green rubber teeth. How about that?
Round 2 scheduled for 12 here on Fox Sports Net. The Sunday night fights coming your way from Jimmy's Bronx Cafe. Great little sports restaurant, watering hole. A lot of the local athletes and famous athletes stop in here.
Oh yeah, and great to be in New York. Well, the great history of boxing in the New York area.
Now Johnson really coming away, wailing away with the left hand.
Look at that left hook to the body. He is pounding it in there. Great weapon.
He is really looking for that left hook to the body. Does he see something there? Do you think, Sean?
Yeah, the ribs. I think he sees a potato pie over there. He's going after it. Look at the strings on the back of his trunks.
Again with that left hook to the body by Johnson, but he's been double and tripling up on it. There you see two more.
Yeah, what
Now,
Harding has to do.
Counter off of that?
Oh yeah, he just did. Counter with the right hook. Also got to use your speed. When somebody's coming in like that, as Johnson is, you got to use your speed. Uppercuts will work well too. You have to do something to keep him from rushing in like that. It was a big punch, but it missed. We saw the angle of it from this side.
Johnson putting the power into his punches in this round.
Putting the power, but really not hitting the mark yet. He's got an elusive target in front of him. Still early in this fight. Both fighters know that. Both are wily veterans.
Johnson is the more heavier-handed of the two, and it's clear. I think you can see that just from the way that they throw punches.
Yeah, and look at the strength. Look at the muscles in the back from Johnson. That's how strong he is. Able to maneuver his opponent around and kind of push Harding where he wants him. Now Harding doesn't want to tie up with him this whole fight. He wants to utilize some of the holding and the strength in these early rounds just to wear down Johnson. Break his strategy.
Harding hasn't fought since that loss to Antonio Tarver last July. That's a 10-month layoff. Do you see that as a significant factor?
Not yet. As this fight develops, it may be. We're going to have to readdress that, I think, in the middle rounds. We should look, not so far. It's still early, plenty of time. It is a 12-round fight. For Johnson, he is starting earlier because, remember, he wants a knockout tonight.
Johnson not rushing Harding now, but he was earlier in the round. Harding trying to get that jab back to work once again as we come to the end of round 2 here on Fox Sports Net.
Motors.
At a 2-hour frat party with irreverent skits, insightful interviews, and sharp locker room banter. The best damn sports show period every weeknight at 8 p.m. and late night only on Fox Sports Net. Here on Fox Sports Net tonight, you're watching Eric Harding in the white trunks and Glen Johnson in the black trunks, going 12 rounds for the USBA light heavyweight title. I'm sure they'd like to have a belt, but what's really important is that the winner of this one really jumps into the title sweepstakes, and that's what they're looking for.
Oh, sure. They're just one step away if they can win this fight, and both of them fighting like that. I think Harding did not expect such an early start from Johnson. Had to turn it up the last round, but watch how Johnson starts off the first part of the round, and he is real strong. As the round continues, Harding sometimes gets the best of him and slows him down.
Earlier tonight, we watched Jason Gavern in a 4-round heavyweight battle and Jay Hobbs in his pro debut, fight to a draw. And we saw Malcolm Tan score a 1-round knockout over Wallace McDaniel, and Tan now 6-0 and beginning to advance up the ladder.
I think Malcolm tanned him. What a shot. Big left hook.
Yeah, but he's got a chance. And each of these two men have a chance to maybe fight for the title. Probably more likely, at least immediately, and for Eric Harding, if he can get an impressive win here tonight. Good right hand by Harding as he was backing up a little bit, and he still managed to get some power into that punch.
Good right hook. They were telling Harding between rounds to turn it. Continue to step around Johnson. Johnson, a unilateral fighter. He moves in forward. He's very strong forward. But if you go laterally with him, it gives him a little bit of confusion.
Harding, excellent record, holds victories, remember, over Montel Griffin, former light heavyweight champion, George Khalid Jones, very good fighter, and Antonio Tarver. He's 1-1 with Tarver, and he'd love that rubber match.
And the first time he fought him, he just completely destroyed him. Knocking down Tarver and really just taking the fight to him. That back in June of 2000, Biloxi, Mississippi. Antonio was then the #1 contender. Good jab from Johnson. Johnson could use an explosion or two. Going at the same speed and then explode.
He's 34 years old. How many explosions are left in that body? We may find out tonight. Glen Johnson was cut near the end of round 3. Eric Harding was cut near the end of round 3, and a fairly significant cut, it looked like to me. And
bad place.
I called Arthur Mercanti over and asked him, was that a headbutt cut? And he said, no, it's not a headbutt. So that puts Harding in a difficult situation now, because if the fight is stopped due to that cut, they're not going to go to the scorecards. It would just be a TKO victory for Glen Johnson.
So for that reason, Harding may have to change his strategy in this fight. Remember, he was saying he wanted to just work 12 rounds and get a victory. But I'll tell you something, Harding in his corner has Al Gavin. Al Gavin is one of the premier cutmen in boxing. This guy does a great job at stopping the bleeding in any cut.
Speaking of Al Gavin, he has been the chief trainer before for Eric Harding, but he made a switch this time. Harding decided to stay in Connecticut and train, and used Pepe Vasquez as his chief trainer this time, although Gavin is still in his corner. This time Pepe was kind of calling the shots for him.
Really trying to pep him up, isn't he?
Sean, what should Harding do with that cut? Should he make a significant change of strategy, do you think, at this point, or not?
Follow the directions of his corner. My feeling is he's not a knockout puncher. He has to be very defensive now. He's got to protect that eye. Look how he carries his right hand down. He carries it down by his waist. You got to wrap it up over that eye. I've been cut many times. There's no pain to being cut. Pain will be tomorrow, I hope, but there's no pain tonight. You don't even know you're cut until your corner tells you.
Yeah, but it's bothersome, is it not? We see fighters pawing at that blood and distracted by it.
If it's bleeding, it's bothersome. If it's not bleeding, it normally isn't bothersome. You can sometimes feel the swelling up there, but these two fighters are so busy in the ring, they don't even know what's happening with their own bodies. They're so busy concentrating and focusing. Now, between rounds, they may tell Harding, you've got to try for the knockout. I doubt it, though, because they realize he's not a KO puncher. You have to protect that eye, though.
Good right hand lead by Glen Johnson.
And if you're Glen Johnson, you zero on that eye. Look at that blood and use it as a target. Also, try to throw your punches where you twist your hands, let them in right at the point of contact. Try to open it wider. Just the beauty of the sport of boxing. And these fighters in there, both of them are desperate. Believe me.
All right, we're coming to the end of round 4 of what is now a growingly even more interesting fight due to the cut factor on Eric Harding. End of 4.
Round 5, round 5. Better, but you could do 10 times better. Hey, we could fade away with that jab. Remember that jab? Let him come in.
Watch their heads, how close they come together. Watch what happens when these two move together. All night, Glen Johnson has been forcing the action. He's been moving in, and that was a headbutt to the chin. There is the headbutt to the eye. That is over the right eye. And it is a bad position. In fact, between rounds, Lorenzo de Clemente and Pepe Vasquez said it was a headbutt.
Let that right here. You hurt him down there. Right? Work You're the best.
Well, referee Arthur Mercanti did not call it a headbutt. Whether it was a headbutt or not, it does look like it. They're not going to go by that.
Well, the corner complained of it to the referee, who said it was not a headbutt, it was a punt.
So again, Eric Harding, if that cut gets too bad, is in danger of being stopped on cuts. On a cut here tonight. He did not go to the scorecards in that situation. Now
Wow,
Harding
look
trying to get his right jab to work here, Sean.
Look how loose Glen Johnson is. He senses something happening.
Well, I thought he fought better in that round. I think he was excited, frankly, by the sight of blood on his opponent. Whoa, he got him turned around on that sequence.
Blood not dripping from that cut over Harding's right eye. It's in a bad place too. It's underneath the eyebrow, yet over the eyelid.
Nice right as he's backing away by Eric Harding.
A nice movement. This is the way that he's got to fight now. Eric must score and then move, and you got to move in lateral movement.
Well, he's a slick, clever guy, and he can move in there.
This is what he has to do all night. You cannot get excited. Remain composed.
You know, you never know how a fighter necessarily is going to handle a particularly adverse situation. I can recall when a great champion, Chiquita Gonzalez, got cut for the first time in his career. He was champion then by a guy named Rolando Pascua. He did not have any clue as to how to handle it, and he fell apart once he got cut, and he lost the title.
A good trainer will practice this with those fighters in the gym, not actually getting cut, but what happens if you're cut? You got to get on your bicycle. I had in one of my early fights, I had a 15-round fight. I got cut in the first 2 rounds. Bad cuts over both eyes. I had to box just like Eric Harding is doing, and he had to do that all night. One chance that you let down, and Glen Johnson is looking for that open window of opportunity.
Johnson driving the right hand to the body. Until that point, Harding fighting a beautiful round, boxing very well, showing angles, moving Johnson around actually, but Johnson finding a little bit of success now here in the last few seconds.
Yeah, but you can't get excited if you're Harding. Keep your focus, keep moving, use your legs, walk around your opponent, turn him, and use that jab. If a southpaw is jabbing, he is going to be hard to beat.
There's the right hand by Johnson, and a good one. Harding getting back to boxing basics here. Trying to outbox Glen Johnson because of that cut. We come to the end of round 5.
Gentlemen, Glen Johnson is just looking for that one opportunity. There's a missed opportunity. He's waiting for the window to be open one time, and there he throws. He connects there. But Eric Harding shows his resiliency, pulling away from the punch, pulling the power out of the punch. This is beautiful work from Eric Harding. Turn him, use your jab. Don't go for the knockout. Take your time. You got 12 rounds to deal with. Just maneuver around your opponent. Let him swing in air. One shot, this fight could be over. Glen Johnson's got that kind of power.
Glen Johnson is pot-shotting him here without really setting up anything, Sean. Is that okay strategy on his part? He's looking for the big Sunday shot.
I think he's going to have a difficult time right now doing that. Perhaps later in the fight. Right now, I think his concentration should be on putting the combinations together real fast. Try to get your punches to your opponent. Also, you sometimes lull your opponent into this sense of security. You hit them with a couple of easy punches. They think, oh, it's going to be easy punches all night, and that's when you lower the boom.
That one straight a little bit low, that right hand to the body by Johnson, but Mercani let it slide. Harding not working the same way that he did in the last round.
No, he's not turning him. Remember, that's the key in this fight for Eric Harding. If Johnson can get in front of you and get a little bit of momentum, he'll destroy you. Look at those body shots from Glen.
Eric needs to throw punches and bunches. He's a good combination thrower. We're not seeing him in this round. We saw him in the last round.
He's got to throw him while he's moving. In the gym, you practice punching while moving. You're doing the fight what you practice in the gym.
It looks as though Glen Johnson's in another close fight.
Yeah, but having a better round in this one than he was in that 5th.
But, you know, he gets very serious about it, Glen Johnson, about the fact that he's seems to always show up on the short end of those majority decisions and split decisions. And he says, you know, really, I mean, because they're taking, it affects my family. They're taking money away from me. And you know, from that sense, he's correct, because it's losses that end up on his, or draws, as his last fight with Daniel Judah was, and a split decision loss to Julio Garcia in the fight before that.
But he's also a fighter who fights a lot on television, so people see that he always comes to fight and he puts up a good scrap. Look at him in here. And these are close rounds. Last couple. Around this one, gentleman Glen Johnson.
And there's one of the real popular rappers, Fat Joe, enjoying the fights tonight here at Jimmy's Bronx Cafe.
Now, where
enjoying all of the gastronomic delights available to the fans.
Wherever did Joe get a name like that? Joe's been at the training table too much, huh? Oh, good combination from Eric.
Yeah, he comes out fast.
Had to do something to turn the tide from the last round.
Well, he seemed to take the last round off. Although Johnson may have had something to do about that. To me, they've been alternating rounds. That's the way it's been looking to me. And each man trying to assert his will on the other, and here in round 7.
Seesaw battle, and look how this round Glen Johnson is closing the gap. This is the gentleman.
Well, I have the fight even at this point, 3 rounds apiece.
The tide may be turning. Eric Harding looking for some magic now. He has to get back to his speed and utilize the lateral movement.
Very important fight for both these gentlemen. The gentleman, Glen Johnson, says, I've got to shoot for the gold. I'm 34 years old. If I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. I've had 2 world title shots. I want to get a 3rd one. I've got those 3 kids, and I need to provide for them. Eric Harding, really same kind of deal. He had the big opportunity against Roy Jones, and frankly, he did pretty well against Roy Jones. He actually did something nearly every fighter who fights Jones is unable to do, and that's win some rounds along the way from Jones. But Jones overall great, magnificent talent and speed, and a torn bicep to Harding held out the finish for Harding, which was to be stopped after 10 rounds.
The fight back in September of 2000, he said, I wasn't afraid. I had to do what I wanted to do. So without being afraid, I knew I had to put up a fight, and he did. He knew what to expect from Johnson. He says he's in your face, and Glen is. Fight plan for Harding tonight, hit him as many times and not let him hit me. That's a pretty good fight plan.
Well, Glen Johnson, quite obviously, Sean had an idea of how he wanted to fight here tonight, a real game plan, and he's sticking to it.
You know, that's so vital, so important for fighters. So many fighters lose their fight plan. They know what they need to do. They know how to beat a fighter. The real magic in boxing is learning how to beat every fighter out there.
Johnson keeps coming forward, and after that earlier flurry at the beginning of the round from Harding, again, he's kind of lessened his output.
Big right hand from Johnson.
So we come to the end of round 7, 5 rounds to go for the USBA light heavyweight title. There's Frezakendo, who you've seen on several occasions here on the Sunday Night Fights. Finds himself now a top 10 ranked heavyweight. He's really advanced a lot further than a lot of people, myself included, ever thought he would at the beginning of his career, I must admit.
Tremendous ability. He has the lateral movement, that Eric Harding is hoping he keeps in this fight.
Another cut is opened on Harding, and referee Arthur Mercandi came over between rounds and said unintentional headbutt. So he's getting busted up a little bit. Mercandi going to bring Glen Johnson back to the corner.
Taping up their gloves. The tape on those gloves gets water under it, sweat underneath the tape, and it pulls apart, so they're just retaping it.
Let me ask you this, Sean.
Make sure not to tape it into the rope there. It's a dangerous thing. Why your training is important.
You see the cut on the left eye now of Eric Harding. That's the one opened by the unintentional headbutt.
Equally in a bad position. He's also got one underneath the eyebrow on the right side of the head.
Which was the original cut. That was back in round 3.
I'd like to see him pull his hands up higher. He keeps his hands down by his waist, Eric does, which is fine sometimes. For a good professional, you can pull that off. Sometimes put them up there around your face. Give your opponent a different look.
I think, Eric, to me, the 10-month layoff is having a little bit of an effect here. I think he's not as sharp as we normally see him.
Sure notice it now, don't you? Sure notice it now. A little bit slow during these middle rounds. Mouth is wide open for Eric. Have to close that mouth, and he's getting beat up. Cuts over both eyes. He has to get back to what was working back in that 3rd and 4th and 5th round, and that is turn his opponent, throw the uppercuts. A little bit winded here in this round.
Glen Johnson looks like he's in fine shape tonight, so these are going to be tough rounds ahead. Right hand to the body, Johnson. Johnson looking for a big one here. He almost leaped forward at Harding.
Johnson's last fight back in April. Daniel Buda. So he's a busy fighter. Before that, he fought back in January. Always gets the call and always puts up a good fight, Glen Johnson. Look how loose he is here.
Yeah, well, I just think he feels encouraged by the way things are going here.
Of course he does, and he's also trying to pump more wind into his body. You know, he's relaxed, he's loose. I like this way that he fights. I like this a lot better than the struggling way that he fights occasionally. Just a
Glen Johnson, born in Jamaica, came to the United States when he was 14 years of age. Says he has fond memories of those childhood days. I was a happy kid in Jamaica. And he'd be happy tonight as an adult if he could win at the age of 34 over the likes of Eric Harding. It could happen. 4 rounds to go. Introducing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the only show taking you inside the world of extreme sports every weeknight. BMX rider Kip Williamson, free surfer Chad Towersey, and Leanne Tweeden are the experts bringing you the entire world of extreme sports all in one place with breaking news, event highlights, and insider features you're not going to find anywhere else. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, weeknights, 5:30 and late nights, only on Fox Sports Net.
Oh boy, Eric Harding rated number 6. He'd like to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right up the ladder.
And he would figure to jump up quite a bit if he can get a win here tonight.
Glen Johnson not even rated in the top 10.
Harding holds a win over the current holder of 2 belts, Antonio Tarver. Mehdi Sanoun, a newly crowned champion, having knocked out Bruno Gerard, and of course Darius Mikulszewski, who's been the champion forever of the WBO.
He says he's been a victim of politics. You know what? He's fighting like a tough competitor tonight. Undaunted. Look at this work. Glen Johnson fighting like he wants to be champion. That's 2 times. Welcome McCanty, no more of that.
He turns Harding around with that right hand, and Eric may be getting worn down. Punishing blows. They started off, remember, in the very first round with those triple left hooks to the body that, Sean, that that Glen Johnson was throwing.
Window is open right now. Glen Johnson knows it. Losing concentration, losing focus. Eric Harding
bleeding from both eyes, and one caused by a punch, one caused by a headbutt, according to referee Arthur Mercanti. Blood really starting to show up around that left eye of Harding, although they kept that one on the right eye pretty much in control.
Well, that was the one from the punch, ruled from the punch, remember. The cut on the left side of the face ruled from an accidental headbutt. Martha McCarthy.
Getting a little sloppy in there now as both fighters fight the fatigue, and that's what happens sometimes. Harding holding here. And a bit of a wrestling match as round 9 comes to the end. There's Wayne Braithwaite, who has a world championship at a division just up from the light heavyweights, cruiserweight champ, 190.
Perhaps doing some scouting here.
Good celebrity-studded crowd here as we take a look into Harding's corner, and the doctor's in there asking him how he's doing, and Harding seems to have to convince him.
Fine, he said. Everything's fine. A lot on the line for Eric Harding. Lorenzo Dente Vasquez really urging Harding, come on, get into it. You gotta keep turning. Speed. Forget about the power at this point.
Eric needs to, if he can, move around that ring. He needs to throw combinations. The fans chanting Eric, Eric to try to spur him up, and a good combination from Harding here at the beginning of the round, and a beautiful straight left that has Johnson backing up.
Johnson's wobbly. He's hurt.
Opening seconds of the round, and Harding, for the first time in the fight, puts him hurt on Glen Johnson. Can he jump on him now and make a dramatic turn of events?
Oh, another one. The window is open. Johnson's hurt.
He jumped right on him at the beginning of the round, which is exactly opposite of what had been happening during the course of the fight. Harding slapping a little with that last overhand left. But he has a chance here if he can put together the effective combinations, which he's doing. Harding enjoying his best round of the fight right now.
And Johnson staying just at the wrong distance for Harding. Harding just set back and punch. Let Johnson run into a punch. Huge opening.
Grueling fight. Both fighters fatigued. Harding bleeding from both eyes, yet it is Harding who's coming on here in the 10th round. They're scheduled for 12, remember. This is a USBA title fight. And Harding may need the time to catch up.
Johnson
really,
may need the time to clear the cobwebs.
He has never gotten started in this round, Johnson. That stunned him, Sean, in the first 15 seconds of the round.
And Johnson still plodding forward. No reverse in the gear for gentleman Glen Johnson. Magic's man looking for that magic.
Again, the left cross from Eric Harding. A lot of clinches now as the fight wears on. Mercani having to do more and more work.
Grueling match. Look at the punches on the inside, the wrestling, the holding. Tomorrow these two will feel it. Also, you get nicks and knocks all up and down your body. Where you've been hit, you've been punched, you've been pulled. This is championship boxing.
Yeah, and Johnson seeming to come back into himself now again, although he slips to the canvas there. That's no knockdown. End of round 10 and a low blow right at the end of the round, which Mercani was blocked from seeing.
But the best round for Eric Harding. He started out quickly. He hurt that man in the opening seconds of the round. He kept the man wobbly on spaghetti legs throughout that round. And the round ended with a low blow right there. Behind the referee, Arthur Mercani couldn't see it.
They had no way of seeing that. He was blocked. He was completely behind the two fighters. Into Johnson's corner we go.
G, listen. G, you got to come back alive, baby. Here, hold this.
I know you're right.
He's fine. Listen to me. All right? We got to pick it up. Hold this. Hold this. Listen, you got to pick it up. All right? Get the legs going. Come on. Let's go. Pick it up.
Orlando, come on.
All right, let's go.
All right, they're telling Glen Johnson, you've got to pick it up. They realized what was going on in that last round. It was Harding who picked it up. And of course, with their history of losing close fights, Sean, certainly that has to be in their mind.
He said he was going to really think about that in the 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds. Johnson did. And really try to end this fight with a strong note and with a knockout. He figures if he goes to the cards, he doesn't get the victory. Glen Johnson trying to concentrate on the body now. His scorecard has Johnson ahead by 2.
I'll have to admit, though, the one fight where I was probably more off in my scoring than the way the fight resulted was when Eric Harding fought Montel Griffin. And I had Montel Griffin ahead in that fight. And, of course, Harding won the decision that evening. And I scratched my head thinking about that one and watching it many times. And
you off in a fight, or were the judges off? Were you off or the judges off?
Well, I think apparently I was, since all the judges had it for Harding. And, you know, it could be that way again tonight if Glen Johnson gets the same kind of treatment that he's gotten from judges.
He knows it, too. That's why he's trying to pour it here.
Sean, a blow there by Harding against straight low. What do you think about the theory is when fighters get really fatigued, then those punches do start to stray low?
Oh, of course they do. The gloves get heavier and heavier. The muscles get fatigued. Of course, it happens. Sometimes, though, somebody will try to hit you low just as to make a statement. Sometimes you have to hit them back low to negate their statement. Sometimes it's a battle of fouls.
I was giving Harding Jones all of the middle rounds there, but Harding has come on. There he landed a nice clean punch.
Good left hand. Wow. Heavy shot from Harding. This just brings out everything in a fighter. This is what fighters crave in boxing. They live for this. Final few rounds in a close fight, and look at
Harding coming. Harding. He may have him hurt again.
That is will and determination.
That's what it's all about. Then he's just sucking it up big time here these last couple of rounds. Amazing.
The crowd is on their feet. This is what, as a boxer, you strive for.
Big right hand by Johnson as he comes forward. Fight may be hanging in the balance in round 12.
Huge round. Huge round. Was Johnson hurt in that 11th round?
Staggering a bit. Keep that on.
Last round, touch low.
All right, listen, Glenn. Listen, be smart, baby. Be smart. All right? Give me the ice. Give me some ice. Hurry up. Listen, hold, G. Listen, keep
Johnson, this is the point where Johnson was really wobbly. Look at that combination from the Magic Man. Eric Harding got a burst of energy. He found out that these combinations would land, and I think Harding realized the end is near, and he could be the victor.
They were still throwing big bombs. Final seconds of round 11. We go to round 12. Referee Arthur Mercani Jr. has them touch gloves, and here we go. Fight could be hanging in the balance here in the 12th and final round.
And look who comes out boxing. Does he think that he has this fight won? Glen Johnson is the one on his bicycle. Look at this movement from Glen.
I can't believe that with Glen Johnson's history of losing close decisions that he would ever do that. And think that he's got a fight won.
He has not much time left in this fight. And if he is behind, and it's a close fight, this could be the wrong strategy.
Mike Carter's got Johnson by a point heading into this last round. Many rounds, though, very close. Could be a wide disparity of the judges' ringside views of this one. What do you think of Johnson's strategy in this round?
I think it's wrong. I think you have to win every round like you got to win the fight. You just got a illegal procedure motion call from the referee. Mix it up. Arthur McCanty giving him a football illegal procedure call. Final round.
And we are halfway through it. Nice little left uppercut in close by Harding.
Still looking for the KO. Eric Harding.
Final minute of the fight now.
And they know it. Both fighters looking for that final bell.
Both tired. Look at Harding breathing heavily. Johnson still, though, with the will coming forward, still pushing Harding into the ropes, trying to win this final round. To see
the final seconds. Final seconds more vivid in the judge's mind. Johnson trying to get the round by the final seconds of it. Inside 30.
Grueling fight, punishing fight, physically enervating fight.
Not only for the fighters, but also for the broadcasters. I'm tired. And the crowd has been on their feet several times tonight.
They've enjoyed this one. Johnson feels like he looks like he's in good shape. Look at him. Glenn wants the hot dog a little bit at the end of the fight. That's it. Harding raises his hand. He thinks he's won. Guess what Johnson did? Raised his hand because he thinks he's won. Well, the judges are going to decide this one. Very interesting bout. Eric Harding hampered by cuts over both eyes. Sucking it up, showing the will to try and make sure that he would get a victory that might give him a third fight with Antonio Tarver.
Both fighters looking beyond this, but they put on a spectacular battle in this one. Back and forth, ebb and flow of this fight.
So there it is. The judges will decide it. There's Glen Johnson, seems satisfied with his effort here tonight. And we now await the judges' verdict. We'll be right back with it. And we're back once again at Jimmy's Bronx Cafe. The Sunday night fights coming your way from the Bronx, New York. We just saw a terrific light heavyweight battle. My final scorecard read 115-113 for Glen Johnson. And Amy Hayes still awaiting the judges' scorecard, so we'll wait to see how the officials rendered their verdict. She's looking at them, studying them right now. She now has them in her hand. So we'll go up to Amy Hayes. Let's see how the officials scored.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the scores of the decision of our judges. Here are the scores. Judge Kazmarek scores the bout 116-112. Judge Lathan scores at 116-112. And De Gabriel scores at 116-112, all for your winner by unanimous decision and new USBA light heavyweight champion, Glen Johnson.
All right, I had it a little closer than that. I had it 115-113, but with Johnson winning it, Harding looked a little perplexed by the scorecards, all three of which, however, read 116-112 for Glen Johnson. Harding seemed in the middle rounds to kind of wilt. I know just looking at my scorecard, I gave the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th rounds consecutively to Glen Johnson. That's when he went out in front on my card. And he closed the show, I thought, by winning the 12th round and getting the victory here tonight. So Glen Johnson, who has been a victim of close decision losses and draws in his career, this time emerges with a decision victory. He's standing by now with Sean O'Grady. Sean?
Well, 10 times in the past, he's been ripped off, he says, in decisions. So Glen Johnson, how much sweet revenge is this? The USBA champion.
Only God can tell you how I feel. It's an amazing feeling. New York is a great place. I come back here anytime. These are good people.
Yes,
there's not many good people in the world, but New York people are good.
How about your face when they were announcing the decision? I had to look right into your eyes. You weren't sure how it was going to come out. What were you thinking?
Well, you know, I've been here many times before, and many times I feel like jumping up on the ropes and claim victory, and it went against me. So this time I was trying to keep it in, just in case they go the wrong way, you know. But they went the right way, and you know, sorry I was not on the rope celebrating to the people, but I didn't want to put myself out there for embarrassment.
Sure. Well, you have plenty to celebrate, but back in that first round, I think you two banged heads. How much damage did that do to him?
Well, I didn't feel a headbutt, but you know, if there was a headbutt, yeah, it looked like a headbutt right there.
You both were coming together. It wasn't intentional.
Right. No, it wasn't. I don't play dirty, but you know, if it was a headbutt there, I didn't feel anything. And if he got any effect from it, I apologize, because that's not my style.
You know, he hurt you too. Do you ever feel yourself being hurt in this
Yeah,
fight?
he hit me with a body shot that I felt, but I was never hurt. You know, he just hit me with a shot. I said, yeah, that's a good shot. All right, let me see if I can get him back with a good shot.
You rolled with some punches. In fact, later in this fight, you started putting the combinations together. You were thinking, I still don't want to lose a decision. You kept the pressure. What was going through your mind?
Well, you know, I've been here many times, like I said before, and I know how it is. So, you know, Eddie Atlas and them guys talk about I'm susceptible to getting outwork. So that's something that I thought about, and I decided that I wasn't going to let it happen tonight. So I work hard, you know what I mean? And even when time I was tired, I didn't feel like working. I pushed myself to work.
And push yourself tonight. You told me today you really wanted a knockout in this fight. Were you thinking that late in the match?
Yeah, I really wanted a knockout because my confidence was shot with the judges. So I wanted a knockout badly, but the knockout didn't come. You know, I didn't hit him with any good shots that I felt would put him out. I hit him with shots that hurt him, but nothing that would put him out, and he back up, and I didn't close the gap fast enough to run other combinations.
You just started being a broadcaster for all that.
Yeah.
You did a fine job tonight. Way to go. Fine job in the interview with Dan Goosen. This is a kid that really made a statement tonight. You've got a lot of options with him. What do you do?
You know, Sean, I've seen Glen fight for many, many years. This guy's got him in great shape. He came out here and does what he always does. He fights. He's a real fighter out there. There's a guy that just won this IBF light heavyweight championship. What's his name, Glenn, that you want to fight?
Mr. Carver. Mr.
Yeah,
Carver.
well,
I would love to have Mr. Carver
that's a fight that we're going to go over there, and we're going to try to get with Mr. Lou, okay?
Yeah, and we'd like to see it. Maybe we do it right here on Fox. You never know. Yes, everybody. Hold on a second. I want to talk.
I said shout out to my trainer right here,
okay.
Orlando.
Hey, Orlando, you've been with him all this time. Let me talk to Eric. How close was this fight?
I had it close, but the judges saw it the way they saw it. I don't know.
You had more to lose in this fight, in the number 6 rating. And what were you thinking as you were coming down to the final few rounds of this match?
Well, I thought that I was wearing him down and was getting pretty tired, you know?
I thought you had a terrific 10th and 11th round. What were you thinking in those rounds when he kind of slowed?
Well, I thought that the fight, I think the 10th and 11th round really pulled it out for me. That's what I was thinking, but apparently the judges saw it another way. But hey, that's what happens, man. I've been off for 10 months and
you know the game. Eric Harding knows the game. He understands the ups and downs. Tonight for him, just a down. Rich?
All right, Sean, thanks very much. I did think that Eric looked a little rusty tonight and fatigued in the end, although he did pull out 10th and 11th. But here's the man who pulled out the win. Glen Johnson, he's got a belt tonight.